Introduction. Mike Tyson, at Mike Tyson, is the former heavyweight champion of the world, but is still the reigning baddest man on the planet. Check out his new podcast, Hotboxin' with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson joins JRE for a third round, discussing his recent fight with Roy Jones, his pet tigers, and more miscellaneous marijuana-fueled topics. Books mentioned. The Immortality Key, The Secret History of the Religion, with No Name by Brian C. Murerescu. Discusses the use of psychedelics in ancient religions. The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross by John M. Allegro. The theory that Christianity is based around psychedelic mushrooms and fertility cults. The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. A fictional story about rich people hunting poor people. It makes you think about what horrible things humans are capable of doing. Mike Tyson's recent fight against Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson realized he had to fight again after a DMT-toad venom psychedelic trip. Tyson originally told Joe on a previous podcast that he was afraid to unleash his ego again, but this changed his perspective. The fight was supposed to be against Bob Sapp, not Roy Jones Jr. Jake Paul also tried to throw his name in the ring, which Tyson thinks is cool. The world will turn on you if you take yourself too seriously. Mike Tyson. Dana White didn't want Mike Tyson to fight again, so he got him a gig on Shark Week. Not exactly safer than boxing, objectively speaking, so Tyson did the Roy Jones fight anyway. Rising through the ranks. Mike Tyson met boxing trainer and manager, Cos D'Amato. When he was 12 years old, he taught Mike how to fight with bad intention. Mentors are everything. Mike Tyson. Mike believes everyone has the fire inside them to be the best at what they do, they just need the right mentor to ignite their ego. Sometimes you'll find mentors where you'd least expect. Mike tells a story of how he learned his skipping movement from an amateur fighter who just got out of jail. I was nobody that wanted to be somebody so bad. Mike Tyson. No life balance, just strict fighting and training day in day out. How do you really get used to understanding yourself when everyone tells you that you're the greatest? Mike Tyson. His obsessiveness and aggressiveness during training tainted his emotional intelligence in his personal life for a long time. I always wish I could have been in the stands watching me fight Mike Tyson. But watching Roberto Duran fight is just about as good. Many great fighters don't make great coaches. The self-centeredness makes relatability difficult. Lions and tigers and Mike Tyson, oh my. When domesticated, lions are social with everyone, but tigers become attached to one person. If it's not your cat, don't touch the cat. Mike Tyson. During his training days, Mike's tigers would travel with him in a big 18-wheel truck everywhere he went. They lived big, baby. I'm the heavyweight champ of the world, when I go somewhere, they are going with me. Mike Tyson. Had to have an exotic animal license for every state he traveled to. Mike had at most 3 tigers at one time. Tigers have a grazing diet, they eat a little bit all day long, feeds them chicken and horse meat. Tiger farts are apparently horrible. These animals give you a false sense of security, that you're in control of them. Mike Tyson. Gives you some perspective to hear this from one of the most dangerous boxers of all time. Don't let them stare at you too long, they might get ideas. Hit a tiger in the foot or point the legs of a chair at them if you need to scare one off. Random High Thoughts, Joe Rogan vs. Mike Tyson. Living is the beautiful process of dying. Anything you're afraid to do in life, do it. You'll realize there isn't much that you're actually afraid of. Watching animals compete in nature serves as an honest reminder to never be the weak one in the group. Most religion is superstition before it becomes religion. Imagine how crazy Galileo sounded when he said, "I think everything we know is wrong." Rumors say the acacia tree, also known as the burning bush, is rich in DMT. Vikings are just farmers who know how to fight. Animals tend to be bigger in colder climates, and smaller in warmer climates. Alexander the Great was shorter than Napoleon. Elizabeth Bathory was a Hungarian serial killer who allegedly killed over 600 girls. She then bathed in her victims' blood, as a way to retain her beauty and youth. White cobra venom has been used as a substitute for opium. A skeleton weighs roughly 20 lbs on average. We can survive global warming to an extent, but what about global cooling? What if we can't grow any food? Homo floresiensis is an archaic human hobbit that inhabited the island of Flores, Indonesia. The best gladiators in Rome were mainly vegans and vegetarians. There will always be kings, they'll just go by different names. Mushrooms are people ignorant of the idea of psychedelics or scared of what they'll learn about themselves. It's raining diamonds on Neptune. How far would humans go? Whatever you think a human being could do to another human being, no matter how horrible, it's probably already happened. We hunt the fox because it's the only animal that backtracks and uses reasoning, which makes it a challenge. What if hunting humans is the next challenge? They referenced The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell, where the plot is rich people hunting poor people. Egoism and selfishness often override morals when it comes to life or death. What is the true cost you'd be willing to pay to protect yourself and your family? Mike relates it to competition. Ain't no way he gonna kill me first. Pyramids. I believe humans, with conviction, can do anything. Mike Tyson. There's an argument that the Egyptians who built the pyramids was skilled workers rather than slaves. Ancient Egyptians were known to lie in an attempt to uphold their pristine image. No fat people in paintings. Denied drug use, but cocaine mummies proves otherwise. Ukraine. Wars often start with a business interest but end with a humanity crisis. The war in Ukraine makes you think about what military and humanitarian conflicts are happening without a minute of media coverage. Joe references Dave Smith's comments on how the war in Yemen gets zero media coverage. Questions for the universe. How did the name human originate? Did we create it or were we given it? How much of our knowledge is predicated on the fact that we are at mercy of the scientist or expert who claims to know? Why do we struggle with our nature so much more than any other animal on the planet? A wolf doesn't contemplate its purpose, why do we? Experiments with rats. Rat Utopia experiment gave the rats all the food, sex, and space they wanted, but they ended up killing each other. Takeaway, once they got everything they wanted, they broke up into groups to create their own conflict. Ultimately, there is no progress without struggle. Rats are commonly used in experiments because they are extremely resilient. Rats also can perform simple A/B testing. For example, they'll send a young rat to try some unknown food. If it's poison, the group will stay away. More boxing talk. I wanted the greatest, like Ali and Durand, to know my name. Mike Tyson. Boxing is not fun when you're getting hit a lot. You can't beat the accumulation of punches, no matter how great you are. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson explains how his style is more like karate than boxing. I'd rather win and get no money than lose and get money. Mike Tyson. You have to risk losing in order to win. It's not fighting if there's no risk-taking. For a guy like me with low self-esteem, I need to hear that I'm God. If I don't hear that or think that, you ain't gonna see me in no fight. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson never accepted compliments because his coach, Cos D'Amato, always thought it could be coming from another coach trying to steal him.